Welcome to this Vibing Vibes. Welcome to our one of show. Okay, today we want to talk about the cover up, or I don't know if it's a cover up here, but it's in the process. You can see the intent to cover up of the death, the murder actually, kidnap, murder, rape of Iniobong Umoren. So all this started actually, I'm just gonna tell the whole story, like everything that has been developing, and yeah, so that's it. I just want to, for those that maybe have not followed up, those that have not heard about it, and hopefully this video might get to someone that actually like has the power for justice, because we do need justice for her. Okay, so what happened on the 29th of April was her friend Uduak sent a message. Uduak put a message on her Twitter, and the message say, "Yo, my friend at Hiny Umoren is in trouble and she needs our help. I'm currently in Lagos and can't help than to put this out there. Earlier today, she told me she was going for a job interview at Airport Road, which is quite far from her house." I'll put all this on the side anyway. To cut everything short, she sent me a 1-second audio record on WhatsApp, and I had to call her back to know if she wanted to say something to me. But immediately I called her, I heard her screaming, "Someone please help her out." This was our last chat before she left for the interview, so I'll put the chat also. So that was it. It was immediately I got this 1-second voice note from her that I called her, and she has not been taking my calls. Yo, help me out. So okay, so that was what happened. So when that happened, so it became viral. People were now tweeting. I think I retweeted, so everybody was just, for them to find her, finding Umoren. So what they are saying now, this guy, because they were trying to track the number and who she went to meet for the interview. So then the guy, knowing that, they now found out who the guy was, and then his face now was all over social media, his picture and everything. And some other people, some other girls were coming forward talking about, there was one girl that said that she actually went the same thing. She went for a job interview, and then he raped her, and he was going to kill her, and she was begging him, begging that she was not going to make any noise, blah blah. Then he left, but as he left, she now jumped through the fence and she ran away. And he called her to threaten her that if she reported, he's going to kill her and her family or things like that. So because of that, she has not come forward. I do not know. I saw this during the time that it was trending, but I don't know where I saw it. So I'll see if I can find it to add it to the video, just the girl statement. But if I cannot find it, then, but yeah, someone did come out like that. So then during this whole thing, by this time we still don't know what's happened with Ini. We don't know if she's fine, if she's not fine. Everybody's looking for her. His picture is all over social media. And then he now went on his Facebook, and then he put this. His name is Uduak. So our friend's name is Uduak, and him is also Uduak, but his name is Uduak Akpan. So I always call him Uduak Akpan, so that way we just to get that. And then his name is Uduak Frank Akpan. That's his name. So he then said, "Good afternoon all. Please kindly forward this message to anybody that knows her. I was contacting her yesterday to her concerning a job opportunity, as at the time she called me, she was at Ibiako Junction. The call went off, so I called back several times. After several efforts, I couldn't reach her. Below here is her name and phone number. Iniobong Umoren, her phone number. And then this is also her cousin's name, gotten from Facebook. God's love, Uduak. Please help me pass this message to find her or her family members. Please, I am not holding her hostage, nor do I know her anything about her whereabouts. My phone has been off because I've been getting threatening messages due to the misunderstanding." So that was what he put on his, and this to clear his name. So then before we know, social media people were saying that this is the guy, this is the message. So when he put that message out on Facebook, actually that's when the other person was talking about it. I'll see if I can really find it. It's going to take me a while because this was a trending topic, and since I didn't save it, because to be honest I had no intentions of talking about it, I was like, I'm not going to talk about any sad story. I'm just going to leave it, and I'm going to retweet, obviously do my parts on Twitter, but I'm not going to bring it to the channel. But anyway, so I will continue and I will tell you why I decided to bring it to this channel, because I want this channel to be more fun, but things are happening and we cannot just, we cannot just close our eyes, close our mouth and pretend like it's not happening. And if you're not doing anything, then you're complacent, so that's it. So anyway, so after that happened, then we found out that he was arrested, and then there was stories going around that he was arrested. Let me find the one. They said he was arrested, and then there were a lot of things, and there was a story that came out that said that he said it's a family business, like his family, they kill people. I think they sell I don't know if they use them for rituals or they sell the body parts of the people for rituals, and then they do bury the people and pour acid on them so that they would, because they found her buried in a shallow grave. So then they said that they pour acid on the people so that they would decay quick so that they can use their bones. I don't know, things like that was coming out, and it was like it's not only him, his father, his sisters, they lure people to them, and then they use those people. So anyway, that was the story that was ongoing, that was all over social media. But then this guy, David, he's a journalist, an investigative journalist, and he's been doing some very good stories. So then he came up with this, and then so he did this piece. The piece is called Murder in Uyo, Who Killed Iniobong Umoren, by David Hundeyin. On Friday, April 29, a 26-year-old lady set out around 1 p.m. to attend a job interview in Uyo, Akwa Ibom State, having recently completed her university program despite losing both parents. She was looking for a way to support herself before being called up for the National Youth Service Corps program, NYSC program. Instead of a job interview and hope for the future, however, what she would actually encounter on that day would become one of the most shocking stories to ever emerge from Nigeria. Iniobong Hiny, people call her Hiny, Umoren, became the subject of a desperate nationwide search led by Nigerian Twitter users after her friend Uduak put out an urgent appeal. She was eventually found, but unfortunately the worst had already happened. The police would later confirm that she was found dead, having been raped, murdered, and then buried in a shallow grave. In the wake of a crowdsourced social media slaughtering campaign which uncovered his identity, a primary suspect, Uduak Frank Akpan, was also arrested in a manner completely uncharacteristic of Nigeria's elephant-paced justice system. The Akwa Ibom State Police Command rapidly announced that it had extracted a confession from Akpan and even identified his motive. He was a serial rapist and serial killer acting alone. End of story and job done. Police statement on Hiny Umoren case. Naturally, this neat explanation did not satisfy many who felt that Akpan could not have acted alone and that the police might be involved in some kind of a cover-up to protect powerful people. Potentially implicated rumors also began swirling about Hiny's family receiving death threats and the suspect allegedly boasting about being well connected. Beyond the whispers, however, there has been precious little to substantiate the idea that stringing up Frank Akpan alone would not represent any kind of justice for Hiny Umoren. Sources willing to speak up and provide information about this case have generally not been forthcoming until now. Game-changing information: every telephone conversation made via a GSM telephone line has a permanent record with the mobile service provider, which by law cannot be tampered with or erased. The information captured can vary, but it always includes the following elements: the dates and time the interactions was initiated, the type of interaction, voice or SMS, the length of the interaction, the number initiating the interaction, the number receiving the interaction, and the location of the closest cell towers to both parties. Some networks also record the actual conversation, voice notes, and depending on the type of signal band and mobile device, it is even possible to capture the exact location of both parties, accurate to within a few meters. Anyone who can get their hands on the call data from Frank Akpan's line would very quickly be able to establish whether he was in fact acting alone, which is where my source came in handy. Understandably, this information is meant to be impossible to access without law enforcement authorization. With this in mind, I have taken the extra precaution of reproducing it manually via a spreadsheet so as to protect my source by removing all possible identifying information over the course of several hours last week. I poured over several days' work of leaked call data from Frank Akpan's mobile provider to make sense of the situation. What will be presented in this story is the closest thing that exists to objective evidence that Frank Akpan is being used to take the fall for much bigger fish involved in the Hiny Umoren murder. And two, while Frank Akpan is certainly the primary suspect and was directly involved in the murder, there are other participants in the murder still working free, while the Akwa Ibom Police Command intentionally boggles what should be an open and shut investigation. Who is Frank Akpan? Apart from a few tidbits pieced together from social media accounts about him, very little is known about Frank Akpan, the primary suspect. The timeline to his arrest begins late in the afternoon on April 29, when Umar puts out Hiny's number, hoping someone will be able to track down her friend's location. The mention of Frank Akpan as a central figure in this story begins with this tweet from Umar, which identifies the owner of the Airtel number as the person who invited Hiny for the supposed interview. A quick check with Truecaller brings up the name Ezekiel Akpan. Curiously, the occupation tag on his person's Truecaller profile reads political. It is important to bear in mind that Truecaller fills an individual's name and occupation fields by pulling high-quality data from several sources, including Facebook profile information and analysis of the individual's Facebook friend network, so this tiny detail will become significant later on. Shortly after finding himself under instant national scrutiny following Umar's tweet, Akpan then attempts to throw the public off the scent with the Facebook post below. In so doing, he inadvertently confirms that the telephone number in question is actually his, therefore proving that Uduak Frank Akpan and Ezekiel Akpan are the same person. Shortly thereafter, he deactivates his Facebook profile and seemingly goes silent until the Akwa Ibom State Police Command issues a statement 3 days later, confirming his arrest and effectively pronouncing him guilty of the crime as a sole suspect. So far, based on the version of the story that is in official circulation, there is only Frank Akpan and the unfortunate Hiny Umoren. The police have declared him a serial rapist and hence a single actor. Officially, the issue is over and there is nothing more to see here. It was just a horrible monster and a woman who unfortunately fell victim under the most heartbreaking circumstances. The only counter story so far boils down to a few unsubstantiated social media rumors that cannot stand in court, plus what would otherwise be compelling evidence from Akpan's crime scene, which unfortunately has now been contaminated and rendered all but useless for the purpose of a criminal investigation. By deliberate malfeasance or by incompetence, the Akwa Ibom State Police Command has allowed key evidence from Akpan's hideout, potentially pointing to a larger conspiracy, to be trampled underfoot by hundreds of curious onlookers and social media content creators. In so doing, the evidence to build a case for anything other than a standalone Frank Akpan conviction has been destroyed or rendered inadmissible. There is, however, one type of evidence that cannot be physically destroyed or tampered with in any way. This evidence has a permanent digital record which sits in cloud storage, away from the incompetence or malfeasance of the Nigeria police force. And what it shows without a shadow of doubt is that Frank Akpan did not act alone. Organ trafficking to feed the international donor organ black market, ritual killings on behalf of politicians involved in occultic practices. Let's find out. Leaked network records, the smoking gun. To properly understand and contextualize the data that you are about to see below, a little explainer is in order. As mentioned earlier, the 6 categories of telephone interaction data always recorded by service providers are call date and time, originating number, receiving number, type of interaction, call or SMS, length of interaction in seconds, and the originating receiving cell tower. Every cell tower on Earth has a unique location code written in this format: MCC, which is mobile country code, and then MSC, which is mobile network code, and then LAC, which is location area code, and cell ID with Nigerian's mobile country code is 621, and its 4 largest network providers, MTN, Glo, Airtel, and 9 Mobile, have the respective MNCs for MTN, 30 for Glo, 20 for Airtel, and 60 for 9 Mobile. Using this information alongside the LAC and cell ID, provided in the call records below, you can pinpoint the exact cell tower closest to where the call in question was made or received. For example, if given MCC is 621 and MNC is 20, Airtel 20, which is Airtel, and LAC is 00784, and the cell ID is 20565, you can put this information into free public access cell site locators like cell2gps.com, and the results will be a cell tower site in Uyo at the junction of Ikotekpene Road and Akpa Road. That being said, it is time to examine the leaked call record data and draw our conclusion. First, here is the data I extracted from what my source provided, showing the significant parts of Frank Akpan's call and SMS history on the day Hiny Umoren was murdered. For ease of understanding, I ran all the numbers through Truecaller and put the names in brackets next to them. Around 1:17 p.m. on April 29, Frank Akpan placed a call to Hiny Umoren, which lasted for 124 seconds. It is fair to extrapolate that this was a call where he gave directions to her regarding where she should go for the purported interview. At 1:21 p.m., he then placed a call to a Blessing Godwin, which lasted 147 seconds. Was he chatting up another potential victim of the same job interview? Snare? It is impossible to say for now. At 3:38 p.m., Hiny Umoren then placed a call to Frank Akpan, lasting for 106 seconds. If you compare the cell tower data here to that of his previous phone calls, it is clear that he was already at the supposed venue waiting for her, because the tower location does not change. It is safe to assume that she was calling to tell him that she had arrived for her interview, save for a 2-second WhatsApp voice note which Hiny later managed to send to Umo. This call was probably the last time anyone ever heard Hiny Umoren alive again. Around 6:15 p.m., almost 3 hours after Hiny Umoren had arrived at his lair, Frank Akpan then placed a call to an unknown number. The call records clearly show +2348127530092, Frank Akpan's non-public number, making repeated contact between 6:15 and 6:50 p.m. with +2348122386922, an unknown number which brings up no details on Truecaller or Facebook. For reference, if a mobile number pulls up no Truecaller, Facebook, or social media result whatsoever, this could either mean that it is used on a non-internet enabled feature phone, a so-called burner phone, or that the owner is extremely intentional about having no digital footprint linked to that number. Incidentally, this was also around the time when the Twitter hashtag Finding Umoren had already led Twitter sleuths to uncover Frank Akpan's identity, leading to his amateur attempt at this misdirection referenced earlier in the middle of a clear and obvious crisis moment. Why was Frank Akpan repeatedly trying to establish contact with this unknown number with no digital footprint? The answer could lie in some data I extracted from a different set of call records showing Frank Akpan's contacts with his number in the days and weeks before Hiny Umoren was murdered. This unknown person contacted Frank Akpan no fewer than 12 times between April 4 and April 27. Was this a regular buyer or facilitator of whatever gruesome trade Frank Akpan was involved in? Was Frank calling him for help after an unexpected social media campaign suddenly exposed him and put their entire business operation at risk? Why was this the first number that Frank called immediately after raping and murdering a young woman? We do not know the answers to these questions, but there is at least one person other than Frank Akpan himself who can probably tell us: the senior forestry officer. It is April 30th, 2021, and Frank Akpan has become a nationwide hate figure on social media. His involvement in Hiny Umoren's disappearance is public knowledge at this point, and time is running out for him. He needs friends and allies to protect him, and fast. His name and pictures are doing the rounds on social media, and in a city like Uyo, it will not be long before someone recognizes him and he finds himself subjected to Nigerian street justice. Between 10:27 a.m. and 10:44 a.m., he places 3 phone calls to a Francisca Bassi Akpan, presumably a family member who is willing to help him. Francisca is in Calabar when she receives the calls, and she's using a smartphone in a location with high network capacity, which means the network is able to record her location while receiving Frank's calls to within a few meters of accuracy. At 10:55 a.m., Francisca calls Frank back Only they and the mobile network know what is said during this 51-second conversation. My source balked at the idea of obtaining customer voice notes because that would simply be a bridge too far, even for the sake of solving a brutal murder. Just getting this much information to me is already breaking multiple in-house rules and NCC codes, so they understandably did not want to push their luck. At 4:32 p.m. on April 30th, Frank then makes one of the most interesting phone calls in the entire story. Truecaller pulls up the details of the recipient of the phone call with the number +234-8032-939326, one Kufre Effiong. Unlike the other people Frank has been known to associate with, Kufre Effiong appears to be from a different world. He is significantly older than Frank, and as his location details show, he lives in the swanky part of town. Who is this guy? Their conversation lasts for just 31 seconds and presumably ends with Kufre hanging up. Frank's phone rings almost immediately at 4:34 p.m. The caller is and the conversation the caller is and this conversation lasts decidedly longer than the last one, almost 4 minutes. Who is the owner of this number that has so much to talk about with someone who is probably Nigeria's most wanted man at the moment? Truecaller answers once again. Kufre Effiong is an older, wealthier-looking man who apparently spends his time in the upscale Ewet estate, while Frank Akpan rapes and murders young women in uncompleted buildings somewhere across town. What could these two possibly have in common that brings them together? Interestingly, if you compare the location data from both calls, it is clear that both men have in fact met physically at a certain 58G Ewet housing estate in Uyo. Frank is probably outside the building talking to this older, wiser man on the phone and hoping to get some help with him. More on 58G Ewet housing estate later. Who exactly is Kufre Effiong? I eventually found the answer after scrolling through dozens, maybe hundreds of social media profiles with the exact name. Mr. Effiong, as it turns out, is something of a big fish in Niger Delta civil service circles. Now back to the address where both men met. Plus 58G Unit Ewet Housing Estate is home to the Uyo branch office of a medical NGO called the Center for Clinical Care and Research, CCCR Nigeria. Now back to the address where both men met. Plus 58G Unit Ewet Housing Estate is home to the Uyo branch office of a medical NGO called the Center for Clinical Care and Research, CCCR Nigeria. Founded in 2010 by an all-star list of accomplished Nigerian-American doctors, CCCR carries out medical outreach programs in underserved areas of Nigeria and promotes medical best practices using a fusion of global best practices and local healthcare delivery models, or at least it used to. Because as far as it's possible to tell, its social media pages have had no activity whatsoever since 2017. A scan of news stories since 2017 using the keywords CCCR Nigeria and Center for Clinical Care and Research Nigeria turns up nothing. To all intents and purposes, this is a ghost NGO. And yet, at least if Google is to be believed, its Uyo branch office at 58G Unit Ewet Housing Estate still opens at 8:30 a.m. every day and closes at 5 p.m. This exact address also happens to be where Kufre Effiong made and received calls from Frank Akpan, who also physically met him there 24 hours after raping and murdering Hiny Umoren. This leaves open two possibilities. The first is that the Uyo branch office of an organization which specifically offers supply chain management of health commodities may have been commanded by an illegal organ trafficking ring to feed the booming global black market organ trade. At the lowest end of the operation would be Frank Akpan, who would specialize in rape and murder of defenseless women so as to harvest their organs for onward delivery to those in charge of the operation. The second possibility is more prosaic, but no less horrific. Due to the convoluted house numbering system in Uyo, the property labeled at 58G Unit Ewet Housing Estate is also recognized on most digital maps as plots S.9 Unit G Ewet Housing Estate. That address is also home to Devox Suites, which is a popular upmarket hotel in Uyo, favored by high-profile guests, including the Cameroon national team. This would be the ideal location for a trusted associate of a politician, say a senior civil servant, to lay his head while running a clandestine errand for his boss. an errand such as sourcing human parts for use in a ritual sacrifice ahead of the upcoming election season, for example. Whatever it is that happened or is happening at 58 G Unit Airwet Housing Estate, and for whose benefit, is a question only Kufre Effiong can answer. Cavernous as this story has become, there is still one more twist. Hiny Umoren's murder, a police cover-up in progress. At the outset, I referenced a press release from the Akwa Ibom State Command on May 2 patting themselves on the back for arresting Frank Akpan and solving a huge criminal conspiracy in 5 minutes by pinning everything on him. One of the names singled out for praise in the press release for his alleged role in apprehending Frank Akpan was a certain SP Samuel Ezogu. On April 30th at 4:40 p.m., Frank Akpan placed a call to someone with the number ... Second from bottom. At this point, I trust it will not shock you to know that when I ran this number through Truecaller, the name that came up was none other than the one and the same. In other words, while the Akwa Ibom Police Command is releasing statement claiming to be solving a crime by arresting a suspect, the suspect was actually making telephone calls to one of the police officers who would later arrest him and speaking to him for a minute and a half. What were they talking about? Perhaps Frank Akpan, who was still at large at the time, was giving SP Uzogu instruction for how to apprehend him nicely. Even more conveniently, Akpan placed the call to SP Uzogu less than a minute after receiving a text message from Kufre Effiong, whilst he physically located at 58 G Unit Airwet Housing Estate. In other words, the senior civil servant working at the Niger Delta Ministry probably sent SP Uzogu's phone number to Akpan via SMS with instruction to call him and let him handle it. And most tellingly at all, SP Uzogu's cell tower location data indicates that while all this was happening, he was in close range of a cell tower near the entrance of Airwet Housing Estate, presumably on his way to meet Oga. For comparison, look at Airwet Housing Estate vis-a-vis General Edet Akpan Avenue. So putting the entire picture together, we have that what appears to be a well-connected criminal gang in Akwa Ibom with links to the police and the Federal Ministry of the Niger Delta, which specializes in sourcing human organs either for the purpose of selling to the international black market or to service local politicians who believe in ritual human sacrifice. By the accident of targeting someone with significant social media capital, the existence of this organization is threatened, and so the Akwa Ibom Police Command is allegedly being used to actively bungle and mishandle the case. Finding the individual who owns the telephone number +234-8122386922 is essential to unraveling the mystery of why Iniobong Umoren had to die. How many more like her have died in the past? And most importantly, who are the big fish behind the entire operation? Exactly what is going on at 58G Unit Airwet Housing Estate is another key question that must be answered. If Frank Akpan won't talk, maybe Kufre Effiong can tell us. Okay, so this was the investigative piece that came out. This is going to be a very long video, so it's going to be like an hour. And so if you don't want to, if you're not interested in the case, then you can just, kind of go now. Okay, so then so after he put this piece out, I'm going to see if I can find the police statement on the day when they captured the guy. I think I have it somewhere here, but I will look for it. If I can find it, I'll put it here.
Give us chance to be able to do what we needed to do. Indeed, he assaulted her both sexually and physically, and thereafter when we caught him, after he had confessed, he was able to take us to the shallow grave where he buried her, and we were able to exhume the body. As I speak, the body has been deposited at UUPH. The essence of doing that is so that autopsy can be conducted. Now, if you don't
to watch, then after he made the statement, then Kufre Effiong, the man that has been mentioned in the investigative piece, now came up with his own and this trying to free himself. Okay, so now this is his own letter that he came up with, and this was posted by someone called Kufre Kata, but it's not the same person because people were thinking it's the same person. It's not the same person. Okay, so Kufre Effiong finally opens up on the number or the murder of Iniobong Umoren. My name is Kufre Effiong. I am aware of some social media publication attempting to link me up with the gruesome murder of late Miss Iniobong Umoren. At first, I had wanted to maintain silence and allow the police and the various agencies involved in the matter conclude their investigation and come up with comprehensive report, but it now appears clear to me that silence is not golden in this matter, where my hard-earned reputation has continued to garner moss in the most misguided, misleading, and mischievous manner in the court of the Nigerian social media. Consequently, I am left with no other option than to make this public statement narrating my role in the trending subject, and this I do not to convince or change the predetermined positions and convictions of people who are bent on imputing ills even on the best of human intention, for I have already warned myself that no matter how hard and loudly the truth speaks for itself, there are some who would prefer and give themselves the alternative facts. I leave such men and women in the hands of God, time, and posterity. With all modesty and good conscience, I make this statement for the records and information of members of the public who are genuinely concerned about the need to know my true side of the story. The day was Friday, 30th of April 2021, and the time was around about 2 p.m. when I was called by my dad, who lives in Lagos, asking whether I have seen a trending article on the social media linking Uduak, who is my cousin, with a kidnap case. Not long after was another cousin of mine, who is incidentally the chairman of Uruan Local Government Council, called to intimate me on the same social media circulations and requested me to come to his house, as Uduak's father, Mr. Frank Akpan, has been reportedly arrested on account that the son Uduak has absconded. On arrival at the chairman's house, he told me that he was concerned that the arrested old man was sick and needed medication since he did not carry his drugs to the police station. According to the chairman, some kinsmen were calling seeking his intervention to explore the possibility of allowing the old man access to his medication. I was still at the chairman's house discussing Mr. Frank Akpan's case when, in the presence of DPO, who had a meeting with the chairman and another DSP, Uduak called my phone asking if I knew where his father was. Initially, I was upset with Uduak for asking me the whereabouts of his father and immediately signaled the DPO that Uduak was the one who called, and somehow I managed to find the composure telling him that I was seeing the trending social media news involving him. Then Uduak said he had no credit and requested me to call him. Obliging to his request, I called him back asking where he was, and he replied that he was at Oron. Further asking about the missing girl, Uduak claimed that he lost contact with the girl when she got to Ibiaku, stating that he has neither seen nor heard from her since then. He practically claimed to be innocent. At this point, I encouraged him to turn himself in by going to the Idu Police Division to clear himself so his father can be released to go and take his drugs, or that I can link him up with the DPO who is close to us later in the presence of one of our brothers, a barrister who had come to see the chairman. I forwarded the DPO's phone number to Uduak, you see, so that corresponds with the investigative piece. It was not long afterwards when Uduak called the DPO, who encouraged him to come out, assuring him that he could personally come to the shelter Afric Junction to pick him up on arrival. While they're all waiting and praying that the suspect does not change his mind, Uduak called the DPO, informing him that he has arrived shelter Afric Junction. The DPO then suggested that he will not go with his car to pick him so he does not panic and react adversely on sighting his car, which was tinted glass. Rather, he requested that I drove him to the location, and thus, accompanied by the DSP, I drove the DPO in my car to shelter Afric Junction, where the suspect was picked up by the DPO. Meanwhile, before we moved out, the council chairman had instructed that the suspect be taken to the anti-kidnapping units directly, but the DPO advised that he should first be taken to the chairman's house to calm him down. Calm him down, yeah. Nigerian police trying to calm someone down. And encouraged him to cooperate with the police, and thus the suspect was taken to Ewet housing. At Ewet housing, the suspect still denied knowing the whereabouts of the deceased, maintaining that he heard last from her when she said she has got to Ibiaku Junction. But when we pressured him further, the suspect requested that he needed audience with the chairman and myself alone. So we took him in, urging him to tell us the truth to enable us assist him where necessary. It was at this point that Uduak mentioned for the first time that the missing young lady actually got to his house. On hearing that, I could not find any emotional intelligence or coordination other than to ask, and I asked straight, is she alive? Uduak started crying and shook his head to indicate that she was no more. At that point, I lost it completely and almost fainted, but managed to give him few slaps I became completely distraught, devastated, incensed, and confused at the same time. I was wailing like a woman who has just lost all, and so was the chairman. With that mixed frustration and infuriation, we quickly handed the suspect back to the DPO to take to the anti-kidnapping unit, and this we did without any second thoughts, telling the DPO that we had washed our hands off the matter and would not wish to be associated with it. Accordingly, the suspect was taken to the police custody where interrogations and thorough investigations are being carried out by the police and the sister law enforcement agencies. I have no doubt that the suspect would have made useful statements to the police to guide their further actions on the matter. Unfortunately, the social media has been overflowing with so much damaging complications trying to link me up with the crime and further extending it beyond the specific incidents of late Miss Umoren to an atrocious trade on human parts. Well, I want to state that I do not know about the suspect's activities since he never lived or grew up with me. My role in the entire case is as stated and remains verifiably so. Voluntarily on my own, I have made statements to the police on record and they are fully aware of my role in the case. I have also assured them of my cooperation whenever and wherever I may necessarily be called upon. As a human, I'm deeply saddened and devastated by the turnout of the events as all the three of us, namely DPO, the council chairman, and myself who facilitated the arrest of the suspect are now facing false, malicious, and damaging media attack trying desperately to link us with the offense in respect of which we made lots of sacrifices to ensure the suspect got into the police net where he is currently being detained, interrogated, and investigated. Personally, I have been receiving threat messages from some overzealous individuals who have labeled me trader on human parts. Now, everybody who has lost friend or family member or kidnap cases view me as the culprit. I no longer feel safe walking the street as a simple and ordinary man that I have always been, but I have no regret that I measured up squarely to that responsibility of bringing out the criminal suspect face to face with the law. I am consoled that the suspect is in lawful custody and will be prosecuted in line with the law of our land. So if this is the price I have to pay for bringing the murderer of my sister from another mother to face the law, I embrace this very heavy burden and trust that both time and God will be kind enough to redeem my image so misguidedly tarnished. My only regret is that there is no absolute reparation and replacement for the tender life so heartlessly and callously terminated as its prime stage. I commiserate with family and friends of the dearly departed and hope that justice will be done in the matter. Notwithstanding above, honestly being my role in the matter of my conscience being crystal clear, if any person or group of persons know more than the police do or possess within their exclusive preserves any evidence linking me or anyone else with criminal act of Uduak Frank Akpan, they should freely approach the police authority and make useful disclosures on such information rather than submerge the public media with speculative allegations aimed at constituting media trials and securing street convictions for very responsible persons who play sensitive and critical roles leading to the arrest of the suspect by the police. Thank you, Kufre Effiong. Okay, so this was his own speech. Oh, that was a long read. So after that, this is a long story, seriously. So after he said that, then another person that made a statement was the commissioner of police. I think not the commissioner. The commissioner of police has a video. I'm gonna upload the video. But after I read the local council chairman's own speech, write up trying to vindicate himself. From what I have read from social media write-up is that he was clashing, like his story did not match with the other person's story. But I would read his story because I've never read it. So every other thing I've read now, I've read before, but this will be the first time I'm reading the one by the council chairman. Pre-release press release with reference number, oh god, you will read that yourself. My attention has been drawn to the above press statement by the State Police Command signed by SP Odiko Macdron, Police Public Relation Officer for Commissioner of Police, Akwa Ibom State. In the press statement, which centers on the kidnap, rape, and brutal murder of one Miss Iniobong Umoren, SP Macdon stated the suspect confessed to have told his local government chairman of his atrocity before escaping to Calabar and was never at any time handed over to the police by anyone. Following the press statement in reference, I, who had already been distraught by the disconcerting news surrounding the murdered Iniobong Umoren, have been further abashed by several media publications and phone calls based on the quoted portion of the press statement by the police public relation officer, which tends to portray me as having concealed such security information, and this has been viewed as a culpable of smearing my hard-earned reputation, hence this statement. In as much as I do not know the interest intended to be served by the quoted part of the statement credited to the criminal suspect, who is incidentally from Umoren local government, where the ugly incident is also reported to have taken place, this publication is considered imperative for the purpose of setting the record's right to let concerned members of the public to be properly guided as to the extent of my involvement in the processes leading to the arrest of the suspect. I do not also intend to score any political points or join issues with anyone on the already sufficiently depressing, distressing, and disheartening situation at hand, but hereby states as follows. I first came to the knowledge of what happened out to be a disturbing development on Friday, 29 April 2021, when I received a call from one of my kinsmen stating that an elderly man in my community was arrested and detained by the police on account of a crime allegedly committed by the man's son, who was reportedly wanted by the police. According to the person who contacted me, he was seeking by my intervention to get the police allow the man, who was said to be in a dire medical condition, access his medication, stating that the police had insisted on detaining the arrestee until the absconded son, identified as Uduak Frank Akpan, was produced. As the chief security officer of Umoren local government area, I immediately swung into action for purpose of facilitating the arrest of the suspect, and graciously the effort paid off, as the suspect, who had earlier hinted that he was at the location in Umoren local government area, was successfully arrested by the DPO of Umoren following trails facilitated by me and other mercenary put in place by the police. For the records, it is not true that the suspect made a confession to me of his committing the crime before escaping to Calabar. As a matter of fact, when contacted, the suspect, who was still denying his role on the trending kidnap abduction news, was persuaded to turn himself in order to clear his name. If his hands were clean as claimed by him, the suspect had no personal physical contact with me prior to his arrest by the DP of Umoren. Yeah, now I see where they say it's clashing. The other guy said that he actually confessed to him, and the chairperson is saying that he never even saw him at all. I'm deeply saddened by the harrowing incident and hereby condole with the family and friends of the victim. I urge them to please find consolation in the fact that the suspect is in the police net, and I trust that the justice will be served and speedily too. Let me commend the police for their efforts leading to swift arrest of the suspect, while reaffirming my commitment to working with the law enforcement agents to ensure that Umoren LGA is rid of criminals and criminality. I must also commend very specifically the governor of our dear state, His Excellency Deacon Udom Gabriel Emmanuel, for his strides in repositioning the security architecture of the state, leading to more effective and effective and efficient security service delivery. Really, I pledge my unwavering, unflattering, and undiluted loyalty to the people's governor, as he remains committed to moving the state to enviable heights of achievement in all critical aspects of our socio-economic and corporate existence as a people. Thank you. Honorable blah 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 blah. Oh, honorable. Sorry, I'm just pissed because he's using this like Honorable SURV. I don't know what that means. Iniobong Umoren NS Executive Chairman, Umoren local government area. Okay, I am a bit pissed because he's using this kind of like as a campaign to sweet mouth the governor. And from what I heard, the governor, all this is happening in his backyard. What is he doing? They have that, like, joblessness is at the all-time high. The amount of money that they receive in that state, they are not doing anything. Anyway, so then let me just leave that part and go back to the case at hand. So you can see the conflicting statements between Kufre and the chairman. They were both talking. According to Kufre, they saw the guy confessed to them, and according to Kufre, I think they were cousins. Hold on, let me find that part. If I can find it, I will just highlight it. I think they are both cousins to the guy, but he is saying that he doesn't even know him, so kind of distancing himself as far as he can. So I don't know if they are distant cousins, but I think Kufre said they are cousins. I'm gonna highlight that part if it's actually in the story. So all of this happened, right? And then now the other clip I'm going to show is I think Arise TV and David Hundeyin that did the piece, the investigative piece, and the commissioner of police for Akwa Ibom State had a TV program, like they had a zooming into Arise to talk about it. So watch the video.
does it mean that this young man has done more than one particular murder of a girl called Iniobong Umoren? Is that the case?
No, that's not the case. That is not correct. That but other bodies have been found. No other bodies have been found, and no other bodies have been found in that place. Not at all. They saw shoes.
All right, you know what, Mr. Commissioner, we'll come back to you. David Hundeyin, he has been listening to the commissioner really react to all that he is alleging. David, you've heard him. He says a lot of things that you've said is not true, and your piece might have some information not absolutely correct. Can you react to it?
I mean, you could almost see his nose growing while he was talking, because when someone is lying through their teeth, you can see the physical effect that it has on them. He said,
David, you don't have to insult. You don't have to insult. You don't have to insult me in any form here.
Bones were discovered on site, right? How did those videos get to social media? Did people make those things up? There is evidence.
Bones were not found anywhere.
Live on national TV to deny that there is evidence. Why is a police officer on national TV denying that there is evidence of a crime that has taken place? That is evidence of several crimes that have taken place. Did the rampaging youths make up these things? Did they tell lies about these things?
Where are the bones? Where are the bones?
Commissioner, Mr. Amegaman, let's try and understand what happened. You're stating that as far as the police are concerned, there are no bones, there are no bodies, but the boots and the outfits that were found, they're all over social media. Were they created by somebody else's imagination, or were they found there when the police went to that site? Did you find anything untowards there, apart from the shallow grave of Miss Umoren?
It was only the shallow grave, and all those shoes and whatever. It's a family compound. People have been living there. You don't expect that they will not find one or two things in the place. But I challenge David to show us even one single bone that was seen there.
Mr. Commissioner, permit me to come in here real quick, but you're not answering the question. The question was, David Hundeyin, who did an investigative piece, says the scene of the crime has been desecrated because everyone has been going in there, thereby destroying evidence. What are you doing to, keep that scene sacred? One. And two, even in that investigative piece, he actually said that this goes beyond Mr. Frank Akpan, that a lot of, prominent Nigerians have been fingered. Can you tell us, beyond Akpan, how many other arrests have been made in connection to the death of this young lady?
As at the moment, Frank Akpan is in detention, and the father, who got to know even before he ran away and never told the police. I can confirm that to you. The scene of crime was protected, but the youths, the rampaging youths of that community, out of anger of what they saw Frank, what he did, they went and ransacked the place. That is exactly what happened. They went in their large numbers to ransack the place, and it's most unfortunate. But already the detective has swept through that place before that happened.
Commissioner, okay, you said that the youths ransack. Does it mean they overpowered the police and the policemen could not keep them at bay? And having said that, if other bodies are found in that place with boots and shoes and clothes of other youth...
Thank you for joining us. And of course, David, with 30 seconds before we wrap up, are you worried that justice might not be served in this case? Or are you confident, David Hundeyin, that this lady who's lost her life at her prime will get justice at the end of the day? In 30 seconds as we wrap up.
Well, clearly, based on the appearance of the police officer that we have seen here, the Akwa Ibom Police Command has taken a side. And that side is not the side of justice. They have decided to tell lies, and they have decided that that is the hill to die on. I noticed he mentioned nothing about SP Samuel Ezeugo, who, as I mentioned in my article, has been having telephone contact with the main suspect before the suspect was arrested, the day after the suspect committed the murder. How did that happen?
Yes, as at the time they got Frank Akpan, they had to lure him back. That was when he made those calls. And they lure him back with his cousin to come back so that he can come and explain what happened. That was far before even he started confessing. So the officer he's calling is one of those who convinced Frank Akpan to come back. And he's now mentioning as if the officer was colluded or conspired with him. Not at all.
Can you see that in the video, the commissioner was a bit on the defensive, and I don't understand why he was on the defensive. And really, the commissioner said that people overpower. So I don't understand what he's saying. So he's saying that the Akwa Ibom State Police do not have the power to seal off a crime scene. That the people were stronger than the police. Is that what he's trying to say? I just find that a bit very, very fishy, like the way he was already in the defensive. And okay, so after that, the reason why I'm even talking about this story, right? Yesterday, which was today is hold on. Today is 16th of May. Yesterday was Saturday, 15th of May. And that's when she was buried. Was it yesterday or the day before yesterday? Is it that yesterday 15th or 14th, Friday? Is that Saturday or Friday or Saturday she was buried? So while her burial was ongoing and everything was happening, then the police decided to bring the Akpan guy, Uduak Akpan guy, out and then parade him, and then he had a speech with news conference. Like literally it was a speech. Just watch it.
For the past 3 days, there's been, I will call it rumor, that has been going around that the prime suspect, Frank Uduak Akpan, in the murder of Iniobong Umoren, that he has committed suicide in police cell. They even gave details up to the extent that he used his trouser, and I don't know anywhere in the world where suspects are put in the cells with trouser, that he committed suicide using it trouser to hang himself in the cell. I've been inundated with several calls from all over the world as if police decided to bungle a direct case of murder. And that's why we have decided to call for this press conference so that you can see him. The man who is said to be dead is sitting down here, and maybe you'll be able to interact with him too. It's most unfortunate that the social media that is supposed to be an advantage to the police and to the citizenry has become a tool that is being used to vilify even the police and the government. It's most unfortunate. You all can see him, he's seated here. He's not dead, he's very much alive, hale and healthy. Well, you can recall that this whole incident started with the job Umoren was seeking to have from Akpan. And unfortunately, the whole thing went sour. The case was first reported as a case of suspected kidnapping. While on the trail of the so-called kidnappers, they went, ICT people went into the media because Instagram was used to facilitate their meeting. And at the end of the day, pictures of Frank and the father came up, and the DPO Uran division swung into action, arrested the father. By this time, Frank had escaped from the house through Onro to Calabar. Some of his relations, knowing fully well that the father is a bit ill, came to speak about the father to say, let them assist. The DPO Uran, who happens to be the SP that one David Hundeyin is claiming is a police officer who conspired with Frank, was brought into the picture, and he joined the cousins to call him and talk to him to come back, because Frank kept denying that. He first denied that he did not even see the girl at all, but later he said he did not know anything about the girl. He was convinced by the DPO and the cousins to come back, and he came back through Oron from Calabar, and he was brought to the police station eventually. At this point, he was still denying. He kept denying, and at the end of the day, under serious questioning, he broke down and confessed to having killed the young girl. This made the case to change from anti-kidnapping to homicide department, which investigates murder. Immediately, he led police officers to the scene where they saw the shallow grave, and
the body of the deceased, may her soul rest in peace, was exhumed. Investigation is still ongoing. We are not foreclosing anything. I will urge Nigerians, instead of going to the press or the media with unclarified or funny information, they should pass it on to the police. Police will investigate. We are still open to find out if it is true that Frank belongs to any body harvesting organization. We are open. The investigation is open. The case file will eventually go to DPP, and eventually the justice will take its course.
What happened was that she came for a supposed job interview, which I used reverse psychology on her. I asked her whether she can work in a farm. Where hard drugs are kept. I asked her whether she can work in a farm where hard drugs are kept as a secretary. And she said that she can, that she's ready to do the job. So when she came, I revealed to her that this farm doesn't exist. There's no farm like that. It was just a hoax. Let me put it that way. So then I told her that before she leaves that I would like to have sex with her, and she agreed, but she gave a condition that I should use a condom, which I did. And while I removed the condom, she became furious, and she took the nearby stabilizer to hit me on my head, and then she beat my left ring finger and tried to reach for the door, screaming and tried to reach for the door. So while I was bleeding, in a bid to stop her, I used the stabilizer to hit her. And when I hit her, she fell and started bleeding. Then thereafter she died. I'm not happy about it, but I believe that the Commissioner of Police is working with his men, and he has assured Nigerians, he has assured Akwa Ibomites and the entire world that justice will take its course. So you guys should just hold on and wait and see.
Have you been patronizing prostitutes?
I used to.
Now, how do you feel about what you've done? What you've done, you are before the whole world. How do you feel about what you've done?
I'm not happy about it, but I believe that the Commissioner of Police is working with his men. He has assured Nigerians, he has assured Akwa Ibomites and the entire world that justice will take its course. You guys should just.
Was your father around when this incident occurred? Your father been not there when this thing happened?
Are you remorseful? Are you remorseful of the entire incident?
Yes,
but you don't sound and look remorseful.
You said justice should prevail. Now, if
what
that
is justice
means
taking your life,
will you readily agree to losing your life for what you've done?
Were you in love with the girl?
No.
So what is your advice to young men?
Okay, this speech, I didn't watch it, to be honest. I took it to record. I watched it today before I was going to talk about it, but I didn't want to watch it because I was just like, from what I was seeing on social media, I was just like, I was even thinking, should I say this story or should I not tell this story? Okay, you see in the speech, he said that the commissioner has assured him. He was going to say assured him, then he caught himself. And then look at how he sounded. He was so confident. He was like someone that was trying out to be like, like coming to give his speech that he wants to be a governor or something like that. He was so confident. He was talking about justice as if he is not the one that is going to be at the receiving end of this said justice. So that's to tell you that someone has told him that nothing is happening to him. And you see the story that he was telling, or like look at the picture of a stabilizer. So think about it, she was lying down, and then he got up to remove his condom. I don't know, he removed the condom and put it back in. I don't understand. And then she was able to use one hand, I would say, maybe the right hand side. Mind you, they were doing this consensual sex, according to him, in a place whereby there was a stabilizer there. And then she was able to use her one hand, lift the stabilizer as a strong girl that she was really. Stabilizer is quite heavy. But she was able to lift it up and hit him with it. by the way, and beat his hand. He was doing his finger like this. There was no bruise. His forehead, he said it was bleeding, no bruise. So from 29th of April to today, it has healed, no bruise. He doesn't have any makeup, but there's no bruise, nothing, because his skin is miracle. Okay, as if that was not enough, then so now he's saying that it was not no more, like what he's saying is like self-defense now. And then he said that she agreed to come to work in a hard drug farm. He's trying to tint her image, making it seem like she wanted to work in somewhere that is against the law. That means she didn't care. That's number one. But then this other lady, you know, in the story by David, in the investigative piece, there was the lady, her name was Blessing, that he called after he spoke to this Hiny, and she was on her way. He called someone else for said job. Now she gave her own part of the story. So I'll read her part of the her text message. Okay, I'll put her text messages on the side. You can see the message. He asked her, does she want to work in the farm as a secretary? Can she work in a farm? And remember, and the story that the message that Hiny sent to her friend Uduak was that is a farm job. Nothing about hard drugs, nothing like that. That it was a farm job. Now he told the girl that it was farm, and she was supposed to come, I think, got to meet him the following day. If not, that Hiny died. So Hiny's death, in a way, saved her. So now let's see. Let me read the story out of Blessing Godwin. Now she put this on Facebook. My testimony. God has done me well. That is why I don't want to hide it. I have come to testify publicly to the glory of God and to the shame of the devil. On 28th of April 2021, I was attending an affiliate marketing class on a friend's WhatsApp status around 7 p.m. The class has been on for about 3 days, and on that day, he taught us on platforms where affiliate marketing strive, and he made mention of gg.ng as one of the platforms. It was actually a link, so I clicked on it and it took me to the site. I was still scrolling through when I saw a job opening at a hotel at Delta State. The offer came with a very attractive salary and an accommodation too. Since I am unemployed, I was still searching for what to do to keep the body and soul together. I applied for the job immediately using my email address. I went back to his status and completed the affiliate marketing class for that day. 29th of April 2021 at 1:21 p.m. I got a call from a number which is not on my contact list, asking if I am Blessing Godwin. I told him yes, that I am Blessing Godwin. He corrected me and told me that when applying for something official, I should use my name and not some unofficial name. Okay, Blesky. Oh yeah. I immediately recalled that I applied for a job using my email and the previous day. I told him it appeared that way on his end because I used my email address and that is my email username. He said it was okay. He asked if I was good with computer. I told him that I try. He said okay, that there is a farm along Airport Road that needs a secretary for immediate employment, and he asked if I was interested. And I don't even know what is a hard drug farm. Anyway, yeah, let me read the girl story. I told him yes, and he asked if I could meet him at Airport Road immediately. I told him it wasn't possible because I was at Ebeno, which is quite far from Uyo. He said he knew. I asked if we could reschedule the meeting to another day, and he obliged. He said I should send my CV to him on WhatsApp and I should save his number as Ezekiel. After the call ended, I saved his number as Ezekiel job on my phone. Then I went to forward my CV from my email to WhatsApp, but I couldn't. I told him I couldn't forward it to WhatsApp and that he should send his email address to me so I could send it to his mail, which he did, and I forwarded my CV to him. I chatted him up and asked if he had seen it. He said no, and then I sent it again and asked him for the second time, which he said he has. After a while, I didn't hear from him again, so I chatted him up. I typed hello, and I told him that he hasn't said anything since I forwarded the CV to him. He did not reply again. I want to believe that by this time, Iniobong Umoren must have arrived the venue, and he was probably busy trying to end her life. Since that day, I didn't hear from him again, and as God would have it, I totally forgot about him and his secretary job. On that same day, I had the strong urge to praise God. I didn't know what for. I'm not saying there has to be a reason before we can praise God. The feeling was so strong, I just went on my WhatsApp and typed, Jesus loves me, but the problem is I don't know why. On the next slide, I typed, God, why? Why are you so mindful of small me? I am undeserving of your love. in every meaning of the word, undeserving, but yet you still choose to love me. Thank you, Lord, for loving me the way you do. Sincerely, I felt the urge to worship God. I felt he did something really big for me, but I didn't know what it was. My friend, Fortunate Mavi, even had to ask me to share the testimony, of which I told her I didn't have any yet, but she would be the first to know once it happened. 11th of May 2021. On 11th May 2021, I received a call from a friend asking me if the guy that raped and killed Iniobong Umoren called me. I was angry and baffled at the same time because I didn't understand why he would ask me if a murderer called me. I asked him why he asked that. He said he saw on an investigative news report on Facebook that contained my name as one of the persons that Uduak guy called. I asked him if I was the only blessing God in Nigeria. He asked if I don't remember receiving any call from someone like that on 29th April. Slowly, I began remembering that someone invited me for an interview at Airport Road, but I wasn't sure of the date. So I told him it might be him or not. He told me the Uduak guy called me after he spoke to Iniobong Umoren. He also mentioned the time and the minutes we talked for. Man, I was scared. I told him I would. At the time, I didn't remember the name the interview guy gave me. I randomly scrolled down to my call list till I got to 27th April and I saw Ezekiel's job. Then I remembered he asked me to save his number as Ezekiel. I was still in shock trying to process all the information when I received a call from another friend of mine that told me to check my messenger that he has dropped a link to a job opening for me. I told him okay and went ahead to check it on Messenger. I clicked on the link which led me to Kufre Carter's timeline. As I scrolled down, I saw the post which my name was mentioned right under the job opening post. I abandoned the job opening post and read the one that carried my name. It was there I realized that the Uduak guy is the same individual that called me for the job interview. The number on the post was the same number that called me that afternoon. The date he called was the same as in the post. The time he called was the same as in the post. The minutes we spoke for was the same as in the post. Men and brethren, I couldn't help but shed hot tears. My thoughts traveled far and wide. All I did was to imagine what would have become of me if I had gone for the interview. Maybe it would have been justice for Hiny and justice for Blessing. How would my parents take the news? How would my siblings take the news? How would my friends take the news? How would my enemies take the news? I shed hot tears. Then again, I imagined just maybe if he had succeeded in raping and killing Hiny without the friend raising alarm and his evil being exposed, I would have certainly been the next victim. He would have probably called me up the next week and I would have gone because I need a job and the world, and that would have been the end of me. All I can do right now is thank God. I don't only want to thank him in private, but I want to thank him in public. I don't know what would have become of me if God didn't show up in this situation. Thank you, Lord. Thank you for loving me the way you do, even in my unfaithfulness. You still choose to love me. Thank you, Lord. I don't deserve this love, but yet you still love me. Thank you, Lord. I am grateful. I don't take this for granted, Lord. Thank you, Jesus. Please, if I ever mean anything to you, help me thank God for my life. Iniobong Umoren was just an innocent girl looking for a job. She didn't deserve rape and murder as a reward for her job search. I pray that God grant her family the fortitude to bear this great loss. Rest in peace, Iniobong Umoren. Like I said, I put the message of obviously this girl is alive, so she can tell her story, and she has her text messages between she and this Ezekiel job guy. So you can see that her text message, he never said hard drug farm. Now he's claiming that he told Iniobong Umoren, trying to taint her image and spoil it and everything. He just knows that he's going to walk free. So you can see the confidence in him. Even his father, when they asked the father, okay, you can watch the father's interview. I even forgot about that.
Check the compound. They didn't say anything. So I was invited to come and make a statement at Uran police station. I did. So I was asked to call him immediately. I now called him back. So when he now arrived, I was allowed to interact with him. He told me that he did something wrong and that he's sorry. I was blaming him. Why do you do this? You are not the only child. I have 2 other children and they are women. They are undergraduates. One is finishing, one is just starting. If anybody does this to their sisters, we would like to say no. So he was very...
Were you in the house when this incident
happened? I wasn't in. I went to town.
Is that your house, sir?
Yes, it's my compound.
Do you live there?
Yes, I live there.
It is reported that nobody else has access to that, has ever had access to that compound.
That is always locked.
It's always locked.
That is not true.
That's what they never say.
That is not true. Well, that's not true. We have a borehole in that house. All the people in the street, they fetch water from there. We have plenty of fruits and vegetables in that compound. We give out fruits free. So it's just unfortunate.
Were you aware that your son has
He is
been
a
into
family
this?
business.
No.
That you are involved.
I'm not.
He said he has taken advantage of over 6 girls, and you never, for one, and you stay in that house.
I'm not aware about that. The reason is I just relocated. We just relocated from Abuja. I've not been around for 30 years. We've been living outside here. So we just relocated because I've been retired. So it's not up to even 2 years we fully relocate.
So where do you retire from?
Okay, from the ministry.
Which ministry?
Federal Ministry of Health.
As?
My position?
Yes.
Okay, Deputy Director. So once in a while, some other official assignment take me out, even though I've retired. Like, for instance, the health records board of Nigeria, they engage of that's our parasitals. They call us to come and do supervision. So that's what takes me out. Then, if I'm not around, my other children, they are always around, especially during holidays.
Information got in that initially you were arrested while they were still in search of your son who was alive.
No,
Did you give information to the police at the
yes,
very part of
yes, immediately. I said, Uduak says he's going to Calabar. They now said I should call him. So I called him back and he came back. It was when he now came back that they now asked me to go. So they now say they are going to interrogate Uduak.
Everybody is asking for justice. And what we tend to understand by justice in murder case is the person should die. Do you also request for that justice?
Well, it depends on the system. I'm not happy about what my child has done. I don't even believe this can happen to me. After I send them to school, try to bring them up. Yeah, justice can be done if the system so permits. Depending on
Your son says Kufrefion played a very integral role in his arrest. He also said you called him back to Calabar, from Calabar. Which one should we take? Your son said Kufrefion asked him to come back. You are now telling us you called your son to come to Calabar.
Yes, I called him now when I was asked to come and make police statement in Idu. They brought a phone, showed me 2 pictures, said, who among these women? I said, this is my son, Uduak. So as we were going to the police station, they said, since he has gone to that, I should recall him. I called him and
with your number?
Yes.
There's no record of your number dialing his phone.
No, I didn't call his number because his phone was off. I called that as soon as Uduak arrived.
What is your full name?
What you call him?
Sir, who is Kufrefion to you?
Kufrefion is the son to my brother. He's one of the sons to my brother.
Are you? Is this your only son?
Oh, this is my only son.
How many children do you have?
I have 3 children.
Sorry, can we get your name again?
Frank Akpan.
So how old are you?
Frank Akpan. Frank, that's how I'm... Full name? Yes, Frank. How old are you? Are you into...
How many years old are you?
Organ harvesting?
No. But it has been known that you've traded the business for years.
Okay, gentlemen, thank you. We are done.
You can see the father contradicting himself. You can see when they asked him if the guy said that if the justice and then he said he called the guy. Then later he did not call the guy. Later it was his daughter he called. It was just all lies. You can see they cannot even they not even practice properly. They cannot even keep up the lies. So you can see how confident the guy was and everything that has happened. This is a cover up in progress. So I'm calling on everybody if you can help. And also the police, the thing that I am finding quite funny, not funny, in the laughing sense, but quite funny is the fact that this guy is in contact with different ladies. People have come out to say, this Blessing one now, you can see her story, but there are others that, because I didn't intend to talk about the story, so I didn't save the conversations or their testimonies and things like that. I didn't save those ones. But all this has happened, yet they have not thought of looking at this guy's mobile record with missing persons to see how many people are actually missing that have been in contact with this guy. Can they check people phone conversation, females that have been in contact with this guy that are now missing? Can they check to see how many people are actually missing that is in connection with this guy? No, they refuse to do that. Secondly, they can actually request for the voice conversations. If they are saying that what this guy is saying is wrong, they are trying to say that, oh, none of that happened, release the voice conversation. I'll put a tweet by David where he said that they should release it, let's all see. And also to even add to that, you know, the hotel that is like a high class hotel, 5-star, whatever, big hotel that might have been the place that they were at, that David talked about in his investigative speech. Investigative write-up rather. Guess what? According to him, is owned by the Akpabios, which was once a governor and is now the NDDC something chairman or something like that. I don't know if he's chairman or whatever he is. I will put wherever he is really there. Okay, so now when he came out with this story, now the Akpabios now sent a letter saying that, I think, hold on, I will just read that out to, because if I'm going to tell the story, then it's already long enough, and I'm trying to shorten it, but it's already long enough, so we have to get all the information, isn't it? Okay, so now the attorney, star attorney David Hundeyin, publication of false and defamatory statement against His Excellency Senator Dr. Godwill Obotapabio. Nigerian people always wanting to put everything like the Senator Doctor, please. And Her Excellency Mrs. Ekaite Norma Akpabio demand for immediate retraction and an apology. Our services as solicitors have been retained by Senator Godwin. I'll put this story here. I'm not reading their names out. Both of Okana Ekotite SN Udim local government area herein referred to as our clients, and we have their instructions to write to you concerning the above subject matter. Our client brief is to the effect that you represent yourself as an investigative reporter, columnist, and writer, and in the said capacity, you issued a purported investigative report regarding the alleged abduction, rape, and murder of one Iniobong Umoren, the late University of Uyo graduate. In the said report, which you published on your Twitter handle, blah blah blah, you allege that a certain Kufre Effiong was complicit in the alleged murder and also attempted to portray our clients as being members of an alleged syndicate responsible for perpetuating the disturbed act. In a paragraph in your said report, you said this statement: who exactly is Kufre Effiong? I eventually found the answer after scrolling through dozens, maybe hundreds of social media profiles with that exact name. Mr. Effiong, as it turns out, is something of a big fish in Niger Delta Civil Services circle. So how does that have to do with you? After having alleged that subsequent to the abduction, rape, and murder of the deceased Uduak Frank met with Kufre Effiong, you went on to state in another paragraph of your report thus: the second possibility is more prosaic, but no less horrific. Due to the convoluted house numbering system in Uyo, the property labeled as 58G Unit Ewet Housing Estate is also recognized as most digital maps as plot S9 Unit G Uwet Housing Estate. The address is also home to Divox Suites, which is a popular upmarket hotel in Uyo favored by high-profile guests, including the Cameroon national team. This would be the ideal location for a trusted associate of a politician, say a senior civil servant, to lay his head while running a clandestine errand for his boss, an errand which is sourcing human parts for use in a ritual sacrifice ahead of the upcoming election season. For example, whatever it is that happened or is happening in 58G Ewet Unit Ewet Housing Estate, and for whose benefit is a question only Kufre Effiong can answer. In one of your tweets via Twitter handle, it has just come to my attention that David suits the hotel at the center of the 58 Unit G S9 Unit G Ewet Housing Estate nexus involving Kufre Effiong and Frank Akpan is owned by none other than Ekaite Akpabio, wife of Godwill Akpabio. Again, same day and still through your above referred Twitter handle, you reached. In other words, this place where Frank Uduak Akpan, fresh from murdering Iniobong Umoren, came to meet Kufre Effiong, belongs to the wife of Kufre's boss and the Federal Minister of Niger Delta's Affairs, Godwin Akpabio. So, which politician has Kufre been running errands for? The implication of the above statement, which has enjoyed wide circulation as you could have expected or which cannot be lost on any reasonable person. They said statements without doubt were made to create the following impression: that Senator Godwill Akpabio and his wife, Mrs. Ekaite Unoma Fabio were not only complicit in the death of Iniobong Umoren, but also members of the syndicate specializing in the procurement, sale, and or use of human body parts for ritual. That divorce suits alleged to be owned by Mrs. Kaite Noma Fabio, senator's wife, is used by members of this alleged syndicate, particularly Uduak Frank and Akpan, to carry out their illicit transaction. We hasten to make the point that, assuming true, though without considering that Kufre Effiong is a staff of the Ministry of Niger Delta's Affairs and or one of its contractors, Senator Fabio does not know, has never met, and has never had any contacts whatsoever with him. Neither Senator Gozo Akpabio nor his wife, Mrs. Kaite Iniobong Akpabio, had anything whatsoever to do with the horrific death of Iniobong Umoren. Secondly, neither David Suite, which is a corporate entity, nor the land housing it belongs to Mrs. Kaite Noma Akpabio. Indeed, a proper search to the Corporate Affairs Commission would have disclosed to you that Mrs. Kaite Unoma Akpabio is neither one of the directors nor shareholders of the Voxsuit. Also, an investigation of the acquired property of the investment company office, the operator's manager of Ewet Housing Estate, would have disclosed to you that Mrs. Kaite Akpabio is not the owner of 58G units /S9 units Ewet Housing, as falsely, maliciously, and recklessly alleged by you. In light of the above, our client's demands are thus an immediate retraction by you. In fact, sorry, you guys will read the rest. I'm tired of reading. I'm actually tired of reading. I'm going to put it here. You guys, I'm almost done, but my dear, my tired is tired. Anyway, what they're asking is for him to retract. Okay, let me just finish it. An immediate retraction by you of all your publication and all parts of them trending to show that our clients were complicit in the abduction, rape, and gruesome murder of late Iniobong Umoren. An immediate retraction by you of all your publication and all parts of them trending to show that our clients are members of a syndicate specializing in the procurement, sale, and or use of human body parts for ritual. An immediate retraction by you of your false publication that Mrs. Kaite Unoma Akpabio is the owner of the Voxsuit. An unreserved public apology to our clients regarding the said false, reckless, and very malicious publication. The retraction and public apology must be published by you in Newswire NGR, your above referred Twitter handle, Facebook page, timeline, and all other online news media platforms and channels where you made deliberate publication. Take notice that if you fail to comply with our clients' above listed demands within 14 days of your receipt of this letter, we will not hesitate to take out a lawsuit against you and all concerned. You have been adequately notified. Yours faithfully, blah blah blah. Okay, so in this they said hi. David said Hundeyin, I think that's his name. He said, "Hi, Senator Akpabio, this has come to my attention. First of all, no idea why the lawyer you hired addressed it to Business Day as if I worked there. Second, please feel free to sue. Thanks." And that's on that. Feel free to sue. Okay, so then he now went further and then David to check. And on checking, CHC, which is the Corporate Affairs Commission, has no hold on. Okay, so I would just read his tweet. A registered business incorporation for 11 years with zero controlling interest, principal officer, shareholders, or directors on file at the CAC. The most popular hotel in Akwa Ibom State is just randomly hanging in the air. Sounds legit. Can you imagine? The hotel has no shareholder. None. No shareholder, no... Hold on. No shareholder, no directors, nothing on file. So how was it registered? Who registered it? And also, if now the police really want to know what is wrong with this case, why not follow the money? They can serve warrants. They can find out, okay, what bank accounts is under, how is the money. If they follow the money, then they'll find out who actually does have it. And allegedly, politicians do this to hide their tracks, to cover their tracks. So how can someone register a company without no directors, no shareholders, nothing, just like that, owns it? Then maybe the state government then should take the property, because since it's owned by nobody, then they should just repossess it. So that is what I'm going to say. So you can see that this all smells like a cover-up. If it smells like a cover-up, it looks like a cover-up, then it is a cover-up. So let's see how this goes. From what I'm seeing, they're just going to go to, I hope that when the case goes to court, I hope that a good lawyer is found, someone that will not be threatened or something like that, that would actually defend this case. And I would hope that they take this case actually out of Akwa Ibom to maybe somewhere like Abuja or somewhere whereby the powers that be in Akwa Ibom that's trying to cover this whole case up cannot get a hold of it. And let's say the case is being tried. I just hope that he actually does spend the rest of his life in jail. But I don't want only him. I want everybody that is involved in this, because this cover-up is serious. Like the way they even treated him, Nigerian police, like you can see the way like they had to make sure he was all right. You can see the local government chairman is lying through his nose, because it's either the local government chairman is lying or Kufre is lying. One of them is lying. Both of them cannot be telling the truth. The guy cannot at the same time confess to the local government chairman and Kufre, and them at the same time not have seen the local government chairman at all. It doesn't work that way. So which one is, who is telling the truth? One person is lying. And Kufre, you can see he was intelligent. He made sure the timeline, everything he said rhymed with David's edition, because he doesn't even know what other information David has. And I don't know if it is legal for someone to leak the recording, but please, can the police go and get the recording? If, or the commissioner of police, since the commissioner of police is assured this Akpan guy, because he almost said that, he almost came out from his mouth and he held himself. So since he has assured him, how about the IG of police? Because this is where our police are not being that's the independent, or what there's a right word for it, I've forgotten. This is where it works. So the IG of police can take over the case, or the, you know what I mean, like they can do that, because now this whole thing is not, is not, if the Akwa Ibom they're not doing well, then the IG of police can take over the case. So can this be investigated? Can proper this be found? Can the record, even if we are not going to hear it, can it be played in the court of law? It doesn't have to play in the court. Can it be played in the court of law? The recordings and everything and the testimony, can they be shown? That's number one. Number two, because he knew that the girl was raped, he showed that the girl was raped because there was semen and all that. So he had to say he used condom first and then he removed the condom, because they had to just lie, like try in a way to cover up, but the cover up is not covering. It's not covering properly. Nope, your cover up is not covering, and we can see you. So anyway, that is all about this case that I want to talk about. I'll follow the case as it develops. I'll try not to, maybe, I don't want this my channel to be filled with a lot of bad news, but I hope people that can help with this, please, if you can help, please help. Whatever you can do, please do, because I'm sure there are other people. It looks like there are other people that must have been murdered. This does not look like a one-time thing. It doesn't look like a one-time thing. So I hope the whole thing is investigated properly, like missing peoples are being, and phone numbers are being cross-checked with his call details and everything. And I hope that this is one whereby they can cover. I hope and I pray that this is one of them. So that is all for today. Please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Bye-bye. I'll see you some other time. Bye.